Welcome to Albuquerque Housing Authority Update. I'm Brian Egan, your host. Today we have as our special guests Ms. Linda Bridge, Albuquerque Housing Authority Executive Director, and Mr. Matthew Archuleta, Public Housing Program Manager. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Linda, please tell us, when did you start to work for Albuquerque Housing Authority?
I started working for Albuquerque Housing Authority in December of 2012, so I've been there just a little over 3 years now.
And what sort of changes have occurred at Albuquerque Housing Authority since you started working there in December 2012?
Well, there's been a lot of changes at the Housing Authority over the last several years. When I came to the Housing Authority was a troubled agency. It was going through a transition from the city, and with the departure of the prior executive director, was having difficulty with that transition. In addition, was out of compliance with HUD, had low employee morale, a number of issues were occurring. And so coming on board, it was clear that we needed to set some goals and a strategic direction for the agency. And one of the first things we did was to set up a strategic plan. And we identified that there was really 3 key areas we needed to address, and that was improving the workplace culture, collaborating for success, and exceeding expectations. So we set a number of goals to get ourselves to that place within 3 years, and we had annual goals that we set to get there, and a number of things that we're proud of that's occurred during that time. With our workplace culture is that we did establish, because we did transition from the city, we fully finished that transition in 2014. With that, we established our own whole set of employee policies. We established our own compensation system that rewards employees for good performance. There's an increased focus on customer service, how we serve our customers better. We, in addition, have invested a lot into training of our employees. We set goals with our employees consistent with our agency plan, so every employee can see how their work and their performance contributes to the agency meeting their goals, and they can feel vested and accountable in that. And so we're really seeing a transition in the workplace of employees being proud of where they work, enjoying their work, and being rewarded for their work. That was one key area. Under our collaboration for success, the idea was that we wanted to start tearing down any of the barriers that existed, both internally within departments as well as externally, and start working together to find ways of doing business better, doing business smarter. So we streamlined a lot of procedures in that regard. We improved our scores with HUD. We're not any longer in troubled status with HUD. We have a good working relationship with them.
And HUD is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development,
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, and that's our primary funding source. So all of our funding comes from HUD, is the acronym, and we've done a lot to improve our scores with HUD, and we have a very good working relationship with the local office, which is very important because that's where all our funding comes from, and we want to make sure we're following everything we need to in that regard. So we've set up quality control systems. We're making sure we have policies and procedures in place. We're training staff. All that's important to make sure that we're doing what we need to in that regard. And some of those goals have been, we have 953 housing units throughout the city that are in much need of repair.
Those are the public housing units,
The public
right?
housing units, and Matt's going to talk a lot more about what we've done so far and what we plan to do, but that's one of our major goals, both what we've already accomplished in 3 years and what we want to do is we need to take care of those assets and make sure the people living there have safe, secure places to live. We also administer the Section 8 program. That's a housing choice voucher program. And under that program, low-income individuals or families are given a voucher that they can use, and they get to choose where they want to live. And we assist them with those housing payments. And in that program, we've made huge strides in awarding more vouchers, getting more utilization of that program, and future goals will include how we even increase that more.
And that's for privately owned houses and apartments, the Section 8 rental assistance
Correct.
program?
We work with landlords throughout the city on that program, and that's been part of some of the great initiatives we've seen that have happened to date is a lot more landlord outreach. We provide landlord trainings. We provide trainings for the waitlist clients, a lot more outreach that the people who are receiving this assistance and have these vouchers, that we help tear down some of the barriers to allow them to have choice in where they live. So we're really proud of the work we've done in that area, not to mention, there's a lot of focus we had to have internally the last 3 years, both with the transition and just repairing things internally. And one thing we're very proud of is our audits, and we now get audited separate from the city, and we, this last year, completed the audit on time, submitted it to the state auditor and to HUD on time, and significantly reduced the number of findings. And so we're making good strides in cleaning up our house.
And there were no repeat findings from year to year.
No repeat findings, and that was huge. So,
Well, another thing that happened in your tenure is a new software, which I believe the software had been in place for 20 years.
That was our old mainframe computer
Right,
system?
right. So that was a huge leap. I think that probably happened halfway through your first year.
yeah, that was
And,
another big challenge that
yeah.
we had, was
Yeah.
transitioning software. No software transition ever goes easy, and we're in the middle of transition from the city. We had to change software systems. The other one was obsolete, no longer supported. If that had crashed, we would have had a shutdown of operations, so we had to upgrade our software. And the nice thing with that is not only, what was it a have to, but this new software will allow us to, as part of our goals, provide better customer service. We
Absolutely.
can now, we've already gone to an online application. That in itself was huge in that it caused, we used to, when we took applications, people would have to stand in line and there'd be long lines, they'd have to take days off of work. Now people can apply for our services right from the convenience of their own home, or from a computer bank at the library or a community center, or from their caseworker's office.
And you're referring to applications for admission to the public housing program and applications for admission to the Section 8 rental assistance program, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
applications to our programs.
And then have we also converted to an online application for employment to work at the Albuquerque Housing Authority?
That's been another, as our transition from the city, we had to create our whole new human resources processes, find our own programs for that, and we can now accept applications for employment online. We have a new website that people can go to find information about whether or not we're accepting applications for our programs, whether or not we're accepting applications for employment, find out information about business opportunities with us. Vendors can find out, if you're looking for construction services or janitorial services. And so we have a great website that we control the content, that the community can know more about our programs, but also ways to do business with us.
And that's abqha.org, abqha.org?
That's correct, yes.
And also, does the Housing Authority have additional online outreach tools that we're using?
Yes, another part of our goals is we were looking at, okay, we've got to take care of our employees, kind of the three prongs, the three legs to the stool. We're take care of our employees. If we provide a healthy, great work environment for our employees, they then can take care of our clients. Let's take care of our internal operations. Let's make sure everything's in line, that we have our policies, our procedures, our audit, everything's clean online. And then the third leg of that stool is, what next? What else? What can we do that's outside of just what our core responsibilities are? And that was one of them, is looking at how do we communicate better with our clients, with our stakeholders, with the community. And through that, we've established both a Facebook and Twitter accounts. So you can now follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. We share a lot of valuable information on that. Whether you're a landlord, you're a client, whether you're, someone in the public, a neighbor, whoever it is, we provide information that's helpful for a lot of people, whether it's about housing issues, events that we're carrying on. There's a number of useful tools and information that we provide through those venues.
And the mission of the Housing Authority is to provide affordable housing and self-sufficiency opportunities, correct?
That's correct.
And so we'll announce our job fairs on there. We'll announce when we're seeking to hire employees. We'll put help wanted ads up there. And also when we're seeking applicants for our affordable housing programs, correct?
Exactly. And just sharing the good news. We have great stories that happen every day at the Housing Authority. Our employees do such good work, and we will get to the opportunity to work with amazing people and just to share their stories. For instance, we had a woman move into a unit that was previously homeless. You get to share those kind of stories, and that's stuff I think everyone is interested in.
And we're at the point now to where we can offer services, or we can, you know, as Linda was mentioning, it was first kind of shoring up what we do and how we do it, and now it's taking care of business. And so we're doing things now that we can empower and share with our tenants and with people who are on the vouchers to move on, move forward, move on with their life, go to school. We have conversations with them. Go to school, get your GED, go to UNM. We have a number of our clients that are going to UNM and CNM that are working toward fulfilling a more satisfying life. So that's what it really is, and we're getting to that next level now where we can assist more people, where we have job fairs and things like that, where we can help people to grow, and that's the whole purpose, is to help people to grow. So.
And this is a season of growth and new beginnings this spring, where the Housing Authority is expanding its programs. Is that right, Linda?
Yeah, and you know, one of the first things when we came in, what we looked at is we connect through our programs with 5,000 of, you know, the lowest income families in the city. You count the people on our wait list, that number grows to 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. Mm-hmm. And so the reality is we can be that conduit to, there's a number of amazing services that are provided throughout the city. We can be that conduit to connect them with the people that need them. And then we're doing our job better. I mean, we can just provide housing assistance, which is all we're required to do. But if the people aren't successful then in their housing, we're just creating a revolving door. And what we're wanting to do is ensure their success. And so as we look forward, as we're looking at exceeding expectations, it's actively connecting the people we work with daily to a variety of services, whether it's on site at our public housing sites, whether it's at our center, using other centers, but looking at that, as well as looking at other programs we can get into. And we're really excited to announce that we're doing 2 new programs this spring.
What are those 2 new programs?
Those are the tenant-based rental assistance program and the project-based voucher program. Both of those programs assist people that are chronically homeless. This has been a need, obviously discussed a lot within the city over the last several years, is how can we all collectively work together to solve homelessness. And we initiated an ad hoc group that involved partnership with the city, partnership with a number of service providers, and ourselves to look at how do we address this issue. And 2 initiatives came out of that the Housing Authority could do. The first being tenant-based rental assistance. This is funding that we received from the city. It's in partnership with the Family and Community Services Division at the city. And essentially what it's allowing us to do, that people that are waiting on the wait list, waiting for our public housing or waiting for our Section 8 vouchers, that are chronically homeless and are currently receiving services from heading home, this allows those people to obtain a temporary voucher. And a voucher basically means that they have assistance to get into a home, only pay 30% of their income, get into a rental unit, and this is bridging that wait. Our waiting list, when I first got there, our waiting list was gaining towards about a 5-year wait for our services. We've been able to scale that down, but people are still waiting several years. And so this tenant-based rental assistance program is allowing those that are chronically homeless to get into housing until their Section 8 voucher or their place on the public housing waiting list comes up.
And this allows the Albuquerque Housing Authority to do outreach to people that are experiencing long-term chronic homelessness, that might be on disability, pensions, trying to live out on the street, and move them out of the shelter and into a decent, safe, and sanitary place to live, where they might pay $100 of their $300 a month disability payment towards the rent. Then the Housing Authority would pay the other $200 they needed to rent a $300 a month a place, for example, right?
Right, correct.
Although rents for like a studio now are probably around $500 a month.
Right, right. And then the other program that we're excited about is we, as a housing authority, have made the choice to take some of our vouchers that right now are portable. Essentially what that means is that they're given to an individual, and that individual can take it to any rental unit that qualifies.
Those are the tenant-based housing choice vouchers, right?
Correct. We are now going to project-base some of those vouchers. So essentially, and this again is an effort to help try to serve those that are chronically homeless, we can take vouchers and place them at existing properties that are out in the community And by placing them at those properties, it's encouraging existing landlords that own existing units to target a low-income population that helps to target people that are coming out of homelessness, provide permanent housing for those that are experiencing homelessness. But the other key component is also provide services. So if the landlord commits to providing on-site services,
Support services.
support services for that person, then we can project-base the vouchers. And essentially what that means is maybe this 30-unit property decides that they want 5 project-based vouchers. So they're going to have 5 units available for this purpose. They have to commit to providing on-site support services. And with that, those 5 vouchers stay on their property. So whether that individual stays or they decide to leave, that assistance stays with the property. So that way, through this program, we're going to have another 50 units throughout the city that are already there, so we can get this running pretty quick, that are going to be available for those that are transitioning out of homelessness.
And those are for privately owned properties that are volunteering to, and in fact have to compete to win the award, right?
Correct. Yes.
And there's a lot of benefits to that. I mean, number one, you're assimilating people that are coming off homelessness with just everyday people. And that's a lot of times what they need, is to be assimilated back into our society.
We want to deconcentrate poverty.
That's exactly right. And then it gives the property manager or the property owner the opportunity to have some project-based Section 8 on their property or some subsidy on their property. So you can also bring stability to the property. And the project owner is going to like that. You know, a property manager is going to like that because now they know they've got stability. HUD is not doing any new subsidy programs right now. So for us to go out there and take some of the vouchers that may be in flux or may not be being used, it puts that money back out into the community. It creates some stability in the community. It creates stability on the property. And it also adds some economic development because now we're using monies that may have been in flux or not being used or whatever. But it really does help. It helps the resident. It helps the community. It helps the neighborhood. It helps the property. So it is a real benefit.
And these project-based Section 8 housing units, these are long-term contracts between Albuquerque Housing Authority and the landlord. So this would help provide them a stable revenue source if they wanted to borrow money to make improvements, right?
Right, right. And when you start looking at HUD and Section 8 properties or subsidized properties, they're not doing it anymore. So all we're doing is taking existing monies and putting it on a property and a facility, which otherwise would never be able to get that subsidy or that stability. So it really is a benefit to everybody.
And this will help fill vacant units that perhaps the landlord's only getting 95% occupancy and they can't get the whole apartment complex rented out. Now they'll be able to have all the units rented, no more vacant units that are being used for criminal activity.
Right. It really is a positive for the community. Like I say, HUD hasn't put out any new subsidy or subsidized programs probably in 5 or 6 years now. And the ones that they do put out are specifically to either disabled or to the senior population, which is really needed. But in this case, you know, you're taking a population that may not be disabled or a senior population, and they have that ability to get subsidy, you know, to get back on their feet. And that's what it's all about, is getting people back on their feet. So.
And speaking of getting back on their feet, please tell us what's going on with the Family Self-Sufficiency Program at Albuquerque Housing Authority, FSS.
Well, one of our big initiatives is, as we talked about, connecting our clients with services. And we have a program, Family Self-Sufficiency Program, that allows, whether it's a public housing client or a Section 8 client, to opt into the program. It's optional, that they can attend seminars. They set goals in regards, and we provide a number of seminars, and it allows them to put money towards saving, and that money, if they complete the program, goes back to them, and then allows them to use that money if they want to purchase a home, start a business. You know, there's a number of things, and we've got a new coordinator on board for that. And there's, you know, we're excited about how we're actively, both through that position and through our programs, connecting services. We just held an Opportunity Expo for the first time at our site, which basically we brought in service providers from all over the city to one location, and our clients could then just go up and down our hallway and, you know, find information about a dozen different services all at one location. You know, I think the hardest part is navigating the network and web of what's out there, and so we're helping to be that conduit. We're, you know, it's exciting to see we provide several of our sites. We cooperate with the city of Albuquerque on meal programs, on, you know, the bookmobile, and we're looking at expanding that. We're bringing in other programs to help with food and nutrition and education and a number of things. So we're just, as well as reaching out to our wait list clients, getting them ready and prepared. You know, one of the challenges has been people wait years to obtain housing assistance and then aren't successful once they've received it because they weren't prepared. And it's like, how do we better prepare people so that when assistance becomes available, they're successful in getting into a house and staying in a house?
And just to piggyback on that, one of the other things is we have a couple of classes being taught at some of our senior properties by the FDIC, and actually the FDIC for their Community Reinvestment Act is doing this, but they've got the Attorney General's office coming out and teaching seniors about fraud prevention and things like that at a couple of our sites, and those are the kind of things we want to do. And so we have the family self-sufficiency, and then we're always seeking individual agencies to come and assist and to teach, because it's all about education also.
And so that's consumer education provided by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation?
Well, they're kind of facilitating it, but the Attorney General's office is actually doing the
wonderful.
teaching of the classes. So that's going to be really nice for these two sites. So we're always looking for opportunities to do things at our properties that have community rooms and to involve the residents there so that they can really educate themselves more.
And do we have public housing in all 4 quadrants of the city of Albuquerque?
We do. The majority of our public housing is probably in the northeast. We have 953 units scattered on 26 different sites. And we have 2 what we call tower properties, which are really 3- and 4-story senior disabled, and one has 60 units, the other has 101 units. The majority of our properties are anywhere between 20 and 40 units, which they're smaller properties. And they're family properties where you have 2, 3, and 4, and even some 5-bedroom apartments available. Right now, we're not accepting. Our waiting list is closed. We have approximately 3,000 people on our waiting list. So there is a need out there. In fact, I had a call from somebody in San Diego that was wanting to move back here, and she goes, "Well, why don't you have any more affordable housing, or why don't you have anything available?" I said, "The money's not there." I said, if there was more HUD funding or other type of funding that we could have, the housing, then that would be great. But we've got to work within the limitations that we have. And so we're working real hard to do that. So.
And Linda, before we run out of time, please tell us about some of your goals for Albuquerque Housing Authority in the future, in light of this limited funding environment.
Well, and Matt just hit it on the head. I mean, one of our big initiatives is how do we, one, redevelop and take care of the 953 units we have. Given the challenges we have ahead of us, we're putting together a plan on how we address the needs at those 953 units, as well as how do we expand our housing stock. As Matt touched on, we have a wait list of over 3,000 people, and we haven't accepted applications in a while, so the need is actually larger. We estimate between our programs we're able to serve about 10% of the population that needs assistance. So we want to be that answer to how do we provide more affordable housing opportunities, and we're looking at how we be creative in regards to tapping into additional funding sources to both improve our own units and build more. So that's one of our huge initiatives going forward. We want to be good neighbors. We want to be good partners in the community, and that is a big initiative that we're going to be undertaking. So it takes time. These are very complex financing structures to put these things together, so it's going to be probably a number of years before you see the first big redevelopment deal breaking ground, but the good news is the plans are in place, the work is beginning, and so you'll start to see that happening. Really, our goals going forward is to provide safe, secure, good quality housing for our residents. Matt and his team that are on board could probably spend a whole nother show talking just about everything that's planned to ensure that we're doing that. That's already starting. And then to be good community partners, strengthen those partnerships with the community to provide services. And that's really kind of the 3 things we're really looking at is community partnerships, outreach, services, improving our properties, growing our programs.
And will there be an opportunity for public input with these redevelopment proposals?
We engage the public, well, really all the time. Formally, we have public input processes every year as we update our annual plans, our 5-year plans. And as we enter into some of these new funding sources, as we're looking at redeveloping a property, we'll be meeting with the residents to get their input as to what they want to see. And anytime a resident, someone on our wait list, anyone of the community can come. We have board meetings every month, the third Wednesday of every month, and they can come to those meetings and provide public input at any of those, or just call or drop us an email. We're always open and available to talk with any of our clients or stakeholders.
And earlier this year, didn't the Board of Housing Commissioners in fact go meet at Embudo Towers public housing site specifically just to listen to the residents?
We did. That was the first as well. We've had many firsts, but that was the first as we held an off-site board meeting. We went to Embudo Towers, which is one of our public housing sites, held the meeting on site. A number of residents attended, spoke at the meeting. We spent time afterwards with the tenants, walked the property, and we plan to do that probably at least twice a year, is get out to one of the sites, take our board, and see the property and hear from the residents.
And speaking of the Board of Housing Commissioners, how does one become a member of the Board of Housing Commissioners? Who decides?
So the mayor appoints our board, and with confirmation by the city council. If someone's interested on being on our board, they would apply through the mayor's office. Right now, we do have one open position. It's for our resident board commissioner. The composition of our board includes one member that is a resident of one of our programs, that utilizes one of our programs. There is an opening, so if one of our residents is watching and interested, they certainly can contact myself or submit application through the mayor's office.
And they can apply online?
Yes, yes.
And then also, all 5 members of the board are residents of the city limits, correct?
Right. That's one of the conditions, is they must be a resident of the city of Albuquerque. Yes.
And all board meetings are open to the public. We have the agendas posted on our website, abqha.org.
Yes.
And we also post the minutes and the resolutions.
Yes, all that information is out on our website.
We seek to be very transparent.
Absolutely.
And it's a compliance with the Open Meetings Act. There's the state law, which is the Open Meetings Act, and we're real good, I think, at making sure we comply with that, and that anyone can get involved.
And now, Matthew, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you worked with Albuquerque Housing Authority?
I've been there a little over 2 years, and I'm in the public housing arena, which is basically, we have the apartments and we're managing them. We're taking care of them, taking care of the residents as well as taking care of the facilities. So our goal really is to create healthy living environments, and so we've worked hard at that. We've worked hard at making sure the properties are safe, and the other thing we've really done is lease compliance, is making sure if something occurs at a property where they're in violation of the lease, we're going to take care of that, and we're going to move forward, and we want to be good neighbors and good stewards in our community, and we want the community to be proud of public housing properties, so we've come a long way. We've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're continually moving forward to bring up our properties to where we believe they should be. And it's all about taking care of the 2 most important things, which is our residents and our properties, making sure things are done in a timely manner, and making sure that people are proud of the properties and proud where they live. So.
And can residents submit work orders online now?
They sure can. All they have to do is go to our website, follow the prompts, and they can submit work orders online. So we're working toward a common goal, and we're at the very first stages of that. But with the power of a new software and with the people that we have in our department, we're going to move forward. And I believe that right now that when people move in, they're getting a nice, clean apartment, and we're taking care of them, and that's the most important thing.
And we want to thank you for watching our show. You can also view it on YouTube. And thank you for watching Albuquerque Housing Authority Update.